What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Andrew of Interloper. Thank you so much for your time today, man. Great to have you here.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we got the brand new album Search Party coming out later this year. Do you just want to talk about like how the making of this album was in terms of like the songwriting? Was there kind of like a preconceived idea in what you wanted Search Party to sort of sound like?
So this album, it took us quite a while to write. We had a lot of time. Um, we had a lot of time just experimenting with different stuff, different sounds, things that we wanted to do. The band started as a very technical kind of band, more on like the technical death metal kind of sound, and we've strayed from that quite a bit. And I think that just comes with our age, just getting older and trying to figure out exactly what we want to do. We knew that we wanted to make, music our career, and we know that as you get older, your fingers don't work as well, and your your legs don't do double kicks as fast and stuff. So we wanted to find like a nice middle ground, and so we ended up throwing a lot of stuff at the wall, a lot of different sounds, and um, we ended up landing on the sound that Search Party is, which I think is really it's kind of like there's technical aspects there, but I think that what I really love about it and what I want to expand on more is, at least in the future, is the progressive stuff. Among the band, we've talked about just like this. We kind of like all think the same thing about it. Kind of like some of these songs are kind of like prog epics, but like refined into shorter, like 5 or 6 minute songs, and I think that is something I want to push for, and maybe in the future, like actually have like a prog epics and stuff like that. That's like totally my flavor and what I'm into.
hmm Well, did you? So it wasn't like like a Revenant Legacy, the EP that you released beforehand was kind of like a representation of the direction Interloper was going into, right? That was more of kind of like a trial and error sort of thing, and then then you moved on to Search Party, and this is kind of like the formula that this is like a representation of finding your sound.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I would definitely say that. I feel like some of those songs on that EP went a little further beyond the scope than we would have liked. Um, and so I think it was good to have that EP as a reference point to build from, and find out what we wanted to keep and what we didn't want to keep. I think songs off that album or off the EP, like that we wanted to move more in the direction of, would be like Glass House and Emerald Flame. Those two songs for sure. I feel could have like would fit on this album, Search Party.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that the first single that you released, Drift, maybe serves as a good representation of what the entirety of Search Party is going to sound like, or is there a lot more to be discovered?
Yeah, I would say that, and I think that's the reason why we decided to put that one out first, was because it kind of covers a lot of that scope. One thing that song doesn't cover, though, I think, is the more explorative side of the album. There's a lot of dynamic changes and stuff from song to song. There's a nice ebb and flow to the album. There's songs that start with just like clean sections and just build from there, and there's songs that start out really heavy, like Drift. So, but yeah, generally, I would say yes. Drift represents the heaviness, the impact, as well as like the melodic aspects of the songs.
hmm Now, being that you are a very prolific artist, between playing live with the Faceless, as well as playing with Vampire Squid, as well as, Brazen Tide and Cries of Christ and so many other bands, like, is it a different mind frame depending on the projects that you play with, or is there a usual method behind the madness that applies to everything?
Um, yeah, so the projects that I'm in, I think have very distinct sounds that are very different. So when I write, it's very easy for me to categorize whatever song I'm working on, whatever idea I have. I'll think to myself, oh, this is an Interloper song, or oh, this is a Vampire Squid song. This is too spastic for Interloper. This is too like heavy slam death metal stuff, you know, this has got to be Vampire Squid, you know, or if it's like something more melodic, you know, more relaxed, or like just what's the word, man? I don't know, like a more like Euro sound, I guess is what I'll say. I would say I would go for like into the Interloper realm of songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is very it's deliberate, but I don't sit down and like tell myself, okay, write an Interloper song, or okay, write a Faceless song. It's just like I write a certain way on certain days, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, this should probably fit here. I'll see what the guys think about it, you know?
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting too is because I really find your guitar playing to have its own sort of signature style within Interloper. Like I know something is Interloper when I hear it. And do you almost use different projects? Because I've always said that a guitar is just an extension of who we personally are. We're using music to express who we are. Do you feel that each project is almost expressing a different identity in a way, or maybe expressing sides of you that sides of your personal life that we don't normally see in one project as opposed to another?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. That's something I think it's extremely important to have more than one project to work on. Because I just don't think that it's possible for somebody to have just one sound, you know, to have just one emotion, just one like thing, you know. I think that there's a lot of room to explore in music, and I've decided to, you know, explore that extensively, and it's caused, you know, me to have to make or choose to join different projects to satisfy those cravings for different sounds. Mm-hmm. So they are, yeah, all those bands are that I'm a part of are very distinctively different.
And do you actually have a theoretical element behind your guitar playing? Like, are you thinking about like scales or modes or forms or anything like that, or do you, or are you completely self-taught?
So I am self-taught, and I learned a lot of the theory stuff after. Miles, the other guitar player, actually, he had a big hand in that because he's like classically trained and took lessons for years and stuff, and I didn't. So I didn't really have that knowledge to work with until maybe about 5 years ago, and it's helped a lot, man. It's helped me tremendously, but I would say what helped me more was being self-taught and following my ear, being accustomed to identifying like intervals and stuff. Like that has really helped me when I'm making riffs, find the note that I'm hearing in my head and then being able to get that out. And even just like, you know, more scalar stuff that Miles has showed me. Like I can run through a scale and be like, oh yeah, that's my major 6, that's the note I was looking for, or something like that. So it has helped. But I would say generally, man, I still follow my ear and I still go by my gut when I write. And then if I'm having difficulty, then I'll pull out the toolbox of theory.
Yeah, it's good to have it at your disposal, but don't be like enslaved to it. You don't want to be like a theory Nazi, as they like to say.
Dude, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not into that. I think that breeds like stagnation in writing.
it breeds a form of elitism that we don't need in metal.
Yeah, it's elitism, and it's also robotic, which is like not cool to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I like left turns and curve balls and stuff in my music, man. I like that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first personal favorite guitar players, who's sadly no longer with us, was Ollie Herbert of All That Remains. And I mean, he knew every form, scale, knew theory left and right, could read music. And another good example of like a great guitar player in metal who knows theory left and right is Adam D of Killswitch Engage. And like they know how to bring like the theory and all that in there, but they never were enslaved to it. It never got in the way of their freedom of playing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those are two great examples of people that found that middle ground, man. You know, they weren't, like you said, enslaved by it or whatever. And they just used it and bent it to their will, which is, I think, what should be done. Definitely. I don't think it should be completely depended on, because then you're not really expressing yourself. You're rehearsing a scale,
Of course.
following something diatonically instead of saying what you want to say.
Yeah, I only remember all the scale modes because of the way my teacher, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, only because of a code my old guitar teacher taught me. I
A
don't,
code?
yeah, I don't particularly like midgets attacking ladies.
That's great, dude.
Yeah,
That's so good.
yeah, that's how
I
he.
don't particularly like midgets attacking ladies. Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna tell Miles that
That's
he'll get a kick out of
that's how
it.
you remember Ionian.
The 7 notes, right?
Yeah, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. That's how you remember it.
Dude, that's so sick. Wow. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. I'm gonna try and memorize that myself next time we talk. I'll have it down, dude.
Awesome. And in terms of your like artistic process, do you find it easier to come up with riffs and solos and melodies when you're more like alone in isolation? Isolation is a great fuel for creativity, or do you like to be in the company of other bandmates as you're writing?
Um, Typically I like to write alone. Um, I feel like when I'm in a room with someone else, and I'm in my like flow, having somebody in like an external like influence kind of it kind of chokes me up a little bit. I feel like there's an added pressure there that I don't want. So typically I like to write alone, or at least at the very least, I like to have something reasonably fleshed out before I work with or bring it to another bandmate, so that I already have the idea in my head of where I want the song to go, and then they can aid me with that and get their input there. But like the general like main themes of the song, main riffs are already mapped out, which I did by myself, like alone without anybody else, in the room with me. That's how I like to work,
Okay. Yeah, isolation's always a great
especially
fuel.
with Interloper.
Yeah. And isolation's a great fuel for creativity, so
Yeah, man, absolutely. I finished last year. I finished another album for like a solo project that I started up. So that was cool, and that was when all of the quarantining was at its height here. So you're right.
yeah. And has there ever been a time where maybe like lyrics or maybe a vocal concept could influence the direction of the music in a way, or have you always needed music before any lyrics to anything are ever laid into place?
um, I typically prefer to have the song written out first, and I'll let that place that the song is putting me in kind of like write the lyrics for me. I'm kind of weird in this way. When I'm writing lyrics and stuff, like especially for Interloper, I'll listen to the song over and over again, and then I'll just start phonating like certain vowel shapes and whatever. And I go off of those cues, man. Like I'll end up saying like if a certain vowel shape is like I'm saying it over and over again, even though it's like not a word yet, I'll try and find a word that sounds like that, because to me and I'm following my gut there, and I'm finding like what is the most pleasing for me to hear, and so I'll go off of that. I know that there's you know Devin Townsend, right? I've heard that he does the exact same thing,
Yeah.
which is really crazy.
I interviewed him right
Yeah.
before the world ended. So,
Oh, did you?
yep, that was
Hell yeah,
one of
man.
the last.
He's one of my favorites, man.
Yeah, I could see a lot of Devin Townsend inspiration in your work because you have like that progressive sort of style behind it. But Devin Townsend is a character. Like interviewing him was an extraordinary honor. I still can't believe that
Dude.
happened.
That's so rad, man. I would love to have a 5-minute conversation with him. Even would be satisfactory for me.
Well, the thing is, there is no such thing as a 5-minute conversation. You're having a conversation with him. You need to clear your whole schedule.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
I believe it. He's a philosopher.
I'm not even kidding. This guy is a prophet, and nobody knows it.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it's fair to say that for your songwriting process, inspiration for any of the projects you're in seems to strike when you least expect it too, right? Like it sometimes strikes when you don't even know it, and inspiration comes from all sources, both inward and outward, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. A lot of times it's me driving in the car doing mouth drums, and then I'm like, oh, that could be cool. And then I just like get my little voice recorder out, and then I do the beatbox in the phone, and then I get home, and then I flesh it out. Um, or like a guitar riff, I'll just be messing around. I'll find like two notes that sound really cool together, and then I'll try and like make a riff where those two notes go together, in succession. Things like that. It is definitely spontaneous. There have been times that I've decided to sit down and then write a song, um, and it works out usually. But I think that the best songs that I've done are the ones that come from spontaneity like that.
Yeah, and I'd imagine too it strikes at some of the most inconvenient times as well.
Yeah, so thankfully not super inconvenient yet, but yeah, I mean, like if I'm driving or like far, like away from home, that sucks.
Yeah.
Or yeah, or
Yeah.
if I'm out and I know I'm not going to be home for a while, kind of thing. It's like, damn, I'm going to forget this. I'm going to forget what I was thinking, and I'm going to listen to this voice message and like not know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I've always said that there should be a rule that pilots shouldn't be allowed to be musicians because I don't want them getting inspired as they're landing that shit on the tarmac. Like everybody was so, like, thought it was so badass when Bruce Dickinson was flying that plane. I was terrified. I was like, I hope he's not thinking about lyrics as he's fucking taking off.
Dude, that is like the most particular thing to be like not stoked on. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
That's when you know you have a good life if that's your greatest worry.
True.
But and here comes the most difficult question of the interview. You ready?
Yes.
How do you know when a song is done?
Ooh, how do I know when a song is done?
And don't give me the abandon saying because I'm so sick of getting that answer.
I don't even know what that is.
When they say the song is never done, it's only abandoned. Like I'm not. I'm sick of that. That's illegal now to say on this podcast.
Oh my god, I've never even heard that, dude. That's so bad. That's cringe, bro. So for me, man, I definitely don't feel like I'm abandoning a song. I stop typically when I feel like I got my point across. That's it. If I'll get to the final chorus or something, or after the final chorus, I go to this outro or something like that. I'll have it fade or whatever, but it's typically like I've exhausted the ideas for this song out. There doesn't need to be anything more to like. There's nothing more for me to say here, so it's time to like wrap it up.
Yeah. Well,
that's it.
Well, very good to say because when I was listening to the album, like I can't think of anything more you could do with Pathkeeper. I can't do anything more you've done with like Moonlight or with a track such as Cheshire or Rio. Like I feel like every track is meant to be the way it is. Like I can't see you going a second over or a second under. So yeah, and what I like about it is that it's not too simple, but it's also not too much to digest at the same time. You know what I mean? I feel like you kind of have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, man, we definitely slaved over a lot of these arrangements. I know that the title track "Search Party" was one that was like we were at each other's throats, trying to figure out how that song should be arranged. I presented that song to the guys, and Aaron sent me a revised version of it with like he cut like 3 or 4 minutes off of the song. It was like a 2.5 minute thing, and I was like, dude, if you hate it, just tell me. You know what I mean? There was like a whole bridge in that song after the bridge that's in there. I had it like gone even further down like the rabbit hole of that bridge, and it ended up not staying because it just was too much. But yeah, man, that song for sure. And then Cheshire is another one that I think that was a song Aaron and I wrote together. But we were very, very particular with how everything should go, and the arrangement stuff like that, like motifing on the drums and all that fun stuff, all that boring music stuff.
Yeah. And you mentioned too that you worked on these songs for quite a while. So did these songs change a lot over a span of time, or is what we're hearing maybe like how these songs were originally structured?
I would say most of them are exactly how they were when we said they were done. But I think there were a few that were changed around a little bit. I'm trying to think of which one in particular. Moonlight was one, I think, that we extended a little bit. Yeah, but I think that's it actually, man. We definitely, like I said, we slave over these compositions, and so when it gets to be in like production time and recording time, there's no there's not much gray area to work with. There's not much wiggle room, because we want to make the songs really airtight. You know, we don't want them to we don't want like somebody that's producing it to be like, yo, you guys should like add this and this and that. And it's like, no, actually, I mean, we already tried that and it didn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to be able to have exhausted those avenues beforehand. So.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for a great guitar conversation. Is there just anything else with Interloper that you would like to promote with the release of Search Party that you're allowed to talk about, of course?
Not that I can think of, man. I mean, we have our merch at our Big Cartel merch, Interloper official merch store .bigcartel.com, whatever. Pre-order the album and get a shirt.
Awesome.
That's it, man. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. Everybody, Andrew of Interloper. Be sure to check out Search Party, coming out via Nuclear Blast on June 11th. This is Alex from Heavy New York.